So I want to thank Colette for stepping in and helping out with meditation. Reverend Deb is supposed to be platforming today with me, but Reverend Deb is on forced silent retreat, which means laryngitis. So she's here, and she's back there, and she's enjoying the service, but we want to honor her, and I want to honor Colette for jumping in the last minute. And I want to share a story with you, and I may have shared this story before, so forgive me, I forget. And it's about a woman who was applying for a job in Lemon Grove and to pick lemons. And the superintendent or the overseer thought, this woman has too much experience. She's going to lose interest in this. And he said, do you have any woman? She said, you bet. She said, my first car was an Edsel, and I've been divorced 3 times. So yeah, some of us know how to pick lemons. Some of us have had a lot of lemons in our life, and some of us are really champion lemonade makers, aren't we? Yes. So today's message is, as you sow, so shall you reap. And this is a tribute, an honoring, a blessing for all the ministries that we have here and for all the new members that have come forward to be a part of our church. And I want to share just a few thoughts about planting seeds. This is from the Urban Mystics. A garden is the living intersection of intention and action. I love that one. And then in 1 Corinthians, it's not important who does the planting or who does the watering. What's important is that God makes the seed grow. And then this one, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Yeah, we know that to be true, don't we? You don't plant the seed and pluck the harvest all in the same day. And Rumi says, in this earth, in this soil, in this pure field, let's not plant any seed other than seeds of compassion and love. Thank you, dear Rumi. Thank you for that. Well, I want to share in this message, this comes from really the words of James Dillett Freeman, who is the poet laureate of the Unity Movement. And James Dillett Freeman was also one of the directors of Silent Unity for many years. A very prayerful consciousness, a very loving heart, and very much the poet. And so James Dillett Freeman offers some truths about sowing and reaping. And the first one was, and this was quite a surprise to me, is that we never reap what we sow. We never reap what we sow. Now, that just seems counterintuitive to all the things we've been taught, isn't it? But what he means is, no matter what I sow in my garden, not once do I reap what I sow, but something so different that if I didn't know that it grew from what I'd sown, I could not have imagined a connection. Neither lettuce nor lily look like its seed. We plant seeds that have that internal intelligence to blossom and grow to be what they are supposed to be, whether they be a flower or a weed or a vegetable or a tree or ourselves. Each of us have this innate intelligence to grow and develop and be all that God wants us to be. And sometimes we don't understand the seed as we're planting it. Well, this reminds us of the story that in Matthew that Jesus tells about giving the 3 servants talents. Talent was a measure of wealth. And so he gave his 3 servants talents to invest, to take care of. And the first servant he gave 5 talents, and that servant invested those 5 talents. And then he gave the second servant 2 talents, and that servant invested both talents. And he gave the third servant 1 talent, and that servant said, oh, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to sit on this. I'm going to keep it in safekeeping. And when the master returned, the servant who had 5 talents had grown 5 more. He had 10 talents now. And the servant who had been given 2 had grown 4 more. He had 6 altogether. And the servant who had 1 talent had 1 talent. And you know, a 1-talent ban only gets you so far, doesn't it? And the master was not pleased with him. But he said to the other 2 servants, "Well done, good and trustworthy servant. You have been trustworthy in a few things, and I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master." And when we invest our talents, which I think is such a great metaphor, because each of us have talents and gifts and offerings. We all have something to offer into this world. When we give those, when we invest those, we are often overjoyed with the multiplication of them. James Philip Freeman says, God gives us much for our little, but God expects much from us too. God is great, is the great and creative force of love. The force of love sows its seeds all over the universe and has sown its seed from the beginning of time. That is why we are here, all of us, to sow our seeds of love. And this is a particular time in history where we are to actively sow these seeds of love, isn't it? In the time of such rancor or discourse or feeling of chaos and confusion, of energies, negative energies, error energies coming out, this is the time that we plant our seeds of love, that we are loving, caring, nurturing people, that we show compassion, that we work towards a beautiful world. Now, James Philip Freeman also says, this is his truth number 2, in this world, if we sow a radish seed, we usually get radish, but we also get weeds. And we know that, don't we? Weeds it just happens to be a weedy world. It doesn't take much. And it's the same thing with thoughts. We can sow these beautiful, wonderful, loving thoughts, these constructive, regenerative, generative thoughts. And there's going to be weeds all around us. We just got to deal with them. We got to pull them and cultivate it. So he says to us that we have to cultivate with courage and faith and good judgment and patience, diligence and perseverance. You know, it takes courage for a farmer to plant seeds. I mean, it's also a great act of faith, isn't it? You don't know what you're going to get on the other side. You don't know what's on the other side of your investment or your gift or your planting of your seed. But you have faith because you do it for that reason. And I also think that there is an innate desire to share. There's an innate desire to express ourselves, and our seeds are expressions of ourselves. And it takes good judgment. We have to know the right time to plant our seeds, don't we? Can't plant your seeds just any time of the year. We got to have patience because it takes time also for that seed to germinate and grow and blossom into the plant that we want it to be, and diligence and perseverance. And if we don't do that, we often can reap weeds. And we all know that. We've all had some weedy patches in our life, haven't we? I'll just speak for myself. But I've heard your stories. You've had some weedy patches in your life. Yeah. Or we reap nothing at all because, the critters come in and they eat it all up because we didn't take care of it. His third sowing and reaping truth is, I reap where others sowed. That is so true. We, at this very moment in time, are sitting in pews in a building that was created by a community of people that came before us. We have been so blessed with this opportunity. And everywhere we go in life, someone has gone before us in many ways to make that journey possible for us. Like many of you, my family immigrated to the United States from Ireland and Scotland and Germany and the Netherlands. And the road for them was not easy. In fact, I remember my grandma's stories, and that's just 2 generations back, that they stood in food lines. They were very poor, and she would steal coal from the coal cars when she was a child to keep their house warm. Now, that's not something she'd be proud of, because she was a really loving, generous woman, a righteous woman, but they did what they did to survive. And I look at the generations since, and I live at a level of comfort and opportunity that they never had. And it's somewhat because of them, because they paved the road. And so each of us take advantage of a road. We are honored, we are blessed with a road that's been paved before us by the efforts of someone else. And likewise, we pave roads for the next generation, for the next group. I may reap where others sowed, but to live a life worth living, I must sow what is mine to sow. And to live best, I must sow with no thought of reaping. That's a tough one sometimes, because we often think about what's in it for me. What's my investment going to bring? We may never see or realize in our lifetimes the investments that we have created in this world, the seeds that we have planted. Many of us have grandchildren who will then go on and have children. You may never see those subsequent generations, but you have planted the seeds. You are planting the seeds of love right now by every action that you take, by every thought that you have. Every thought that you have is a seed that you are planting. I must sow what is mine to sow. It's what I'm here to do. And to live best, I must sow with no thought of reaping. Sow and you shall reap, but you shall sow what is yours to sow, and reap what is life's to give. For the seed is in your hand, but the harvest is in life's hand. So the talents and the skills and the gifts and the imagination, the energy, the efforts, all of that is for us to sow. And then we reap what is ours to sow, what is ours to reap, excuse me. It's giving and it's receiving. And part of this journey in life is about receiving. It's about opening up and receiving for no reason whatsoever. Sometimes we may have health challenges, and in our health challenges, suddenly we have gone from a very capable, fully mastered person to someone who now needs a lot of care and help. It is our time to receive that care and help. That is part of the journey, is to receive, and to receive graciously, and to know that you are deserving of receiving that. That's hard to get sometimes, but it's so true. The harvest is in life's hand. So he says, sow a thought and reap a revolution. Sow a hope and reap a miracle. Sow a dream and reap a new life for yourself and the world. He's such a poet. I love this man. I met him once. He's very, Very beautiful spirit indeed. Emily Cady says, blessings of every kind in mind, body, and affairs come to us when we consciously serve as the hands of God. The very act of giving opens your mind to the truth of all life. And that's what we have come here to do in this spiritual family. We have come to give and to receive. One thing I love about this community is that we are givers. We have giving hearts. And in moments when there is a need, we give to that person. And always our hope is that person can receive it fully. Mitch Heath's in the audience today. And Mitch, I don't mean to point you out, but Mitch and his wife Kathy gave so much to this church and all of our events, constantly pouring their love and their talents into making our fundraisers and special events special, very special. And when Kathy made her transition, we reached out to him. And that's part of what this family give and take is about. It was probably difficult for Mitch to receive because he's such a giver. That's really, he knows that side really, really well. And this is our time to give to him and to love him through his grief, because he gets to learn how to receive in this moment. We give thanks to you, loving God, for this gorgeous garden that we get to be a part of. We thank you for allowing us and teaching us and guiding us to be wonderful gardeners. And we give thanks and praise for all the seeds that we plant, that we nurture them into fullness and to ripeness, and that we let go of them for future generations, for future people to come who walk through our doors. And for this we give thanks and praise. Amen.